Here's another way that faithful Christians and Pharisees can sometimes get it wrong. They fall into legalism. That's a really churchy word, isn't it? We don't really use that term anywhere else. Legalism essentially means obsessing over the do's and don'ts, seeing Christianity as primarily a moral code. The Pharisee in Jesus' parable said this: God, I thank you that I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and I give 1/10 of all I get. So he went into God's presence and began reeling off the bad things he'd avoided and the good things he'd done. And many people see Christianity this way. They see our faith as primarily a moral code. This is a particular danger for those who've been Christians for some time and would consider themselves faithful. It becomes really easy to slip into a type of spiritual life where you're ticking boxes the whole time. Read my Bible? Check. Prayed today? Check. Avoided lust? Check. Avoided dishonesty? Check. Fasted recently? Well, God will forgive me on this. Tithed faithfully? Well, God understands things are tight. We start to measure ourselves, our holiness, our faithfulness, by checking off lists. And that's a tragic misunderstanding of the life Jesus brings. I'm prone to this myself. I remember spending some time with a prayer partner at my previous church. We would talk and pray together regularly, and she came to me during one session and presented me with this little molded model of a foot with a chain on it. And she said as she was praying for me, she had this vision of me with a shackle on my feet. And the shackle was a legalist spirit. You see, it's very easy for me to fall into this. I very quickly become a legalist, obsessing over do's and don'ts in my faith. And it shackles me. It shackles anybody who does it. I want to tell you, that's not the gospel. The gospel is not simply a moral code. Now, let me be clear on this. Yes, Christianity is a moral faith. We believe deeply in holiness, as I've said all week. But the essence of our faith is not rules, but relationship. It's a deep relationship with God that overflows into holy living, not a strict way of living that sometimes talks about God. Do you remember the prodigal son parable? The story is about a young man who takes his father's inheritance and blows it on all these sinful things. He comes back expecting his father's judgment, but instead receives a loving, warm welcome home. And the older brother is furious because he had kept all the rules. His list of do's and don'ts was flawless. But you know what he was missing? A deep love between him and the father. He was a legalist, trying to be moral to earn his father's approval, instead of loving his father and living alongside his father with peace and joy, and finding himself ticking those boxes anyway because of that love. Friends, be faithful, but don't think that being faithful means being strictly moral in a way that will get God's nod of approval. Come to God every day and realize this: He loves me not because of my morals, but because I'm His child and I've embraced Him. And then live a holy life with all your heart, because you're so in love with Him that you couldn't bear the thought of breaking His heart. See the difference? Beware legalism, friends. Be holy and faithful, but never legalistic. Always rooted in love for the Father who loves you.